everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Changeling. I awoke from a dead sleep, standing in the middle of the woods. For a long moment, I stood stock? What? Still, I stood stock still while I tried to work out what was going on. Why am I outside? I definitely put my barrier down. Did it not work? But also, what woke me up just then? I thought I heard, Cata! I whirled around at the sound of my name and was instantly enveloped in a hug. What? Thank God, I wasn't sure it was you. What does that mean? Geez, it was cold out. What's going on? Ewan pulled away, looking down at me worriedly. Are you okay? I think so. I'm still in a bit, I was still trying to work out exactly how I'd managed to get out again. I didn't remember anything from the sleepwalking this time. No weird voices, no feelings of wanting to get somewhere. Nothing. I shivered, rubbing my arms. So, I guess this is you keeping an eye on me again? Well, I was just worried. I know you said Brenna has been helping, but here, take this first. He shrugged out of his jacket and then it over. I slipped into it gratefully, but immediately broke into laughter. I glared up at him. I failed to see what's funny about this, only because you're not looking at it from up here. I glanced over myself, and the way his jacket completely swallowed me. Shut up! Come on, we need to get you back. Fortunately, it actually didn't look like I'd gotten far, just a little ways into the trees. I winced as I picked my way back through the brush and managed to step on a stupid blackberry vine. You okay? Yeah, peachy. Want me to carry you? No. Being swallowed up in this stupid massive jacket was enough humiliation for me. He hesitated, then offered a hand. Our eyes met in the dim light, and I wrestled my arm through to the end of the stupid sleeve and took it. It helped steady me as I limped out from the brush and up the path. So you were just lurking around to see if I'd escape tonight? Lurking makes me seem a little stalker. What the hell? Lurking makes me seem like a stalker. I just happened to be passing by at the same time you left. It's not like I was planning on hanging out here all night. Well, I had something that was supposed to keep me inside. Looks like it didn't work. Wow, excellent deduction, Sherlock. Elementary, my dear Watson. Cute. We weren't too far from my gate when we reached it. Ewan caught my arm. Look, take this. He pressed something to my hand, something that caused faint tingles of discomfort to streak up my arm. What's this? I examined the bell he had pressed to my hand. It was heavy, like it was made of iron or something, and it was tied at the top with a long red string. Somehow, it made me feel uncomfortable just looking at it, much less holding it. I wasn't sure why. I don't know why you're leaving your house or anything, but that's a fairy bane. You can keep them at bay, pretty effectively to be honest. I'm a fairy too, you know. Yeah, well, I'm not a fan of the thing either, but banes are far more potent against wild fae than those living as humans. It will lure others away without actually harming you. Is it the fairies calling me? Is that why I'm leaving at night? I don't know. It could be something like that. It could be fairy itself calling you. Its borders always expand this time of year, and there's pretty big overlap into Pine Hollow, not to mention at least one gate that opens every year, and several stray ones that pop up every now and then as well. Sometimes it calls to me as well, so maybe you're just having trouble ignoring that call. Could that really be it? It still didn't explain how I got past my barrier though. That wasn't something I should be worrying about out here. I need to get back inside before anyone else woke up. I should get back inside. Thanks for this though. I'll throw it at any fairies I see. You're supposed to ring it. It's the sound they hate. Looks like it would do more damage if it hit him in the face. Only if you've got good aim. I'll have you know, my aim is impeccable, sir. Don't make me prove it. Weren't you going back inside? Coward. Oh, yes, because you're so terrifying. I unlatched the gate and made a face at him. I can be. Ewan suddenly reached out and caught my hand again, leaning close. My face went a little hot. Before I let you go, he looked over his shoulder as if he expected someone to be eavesdropping. I know it seems like Brenna's looking out for you, but be careful about trusting her. She may seem like she's trying to help, but even I don't know what she's really up to. Part of the reason I'm here is because I wanted to see what was really going on. She never tells anyone the whole story. You don't trust her? I trust her as much as I trust any fae. Which is to say, not much. She's a friend of my father's. I don't know anything else about her, including why she's so interested in you. A friend of his father's? Interesting. Please be careful. I am trying, I know. Thank you for watching out for me. I just know what it's like to be in that position, that's all. It made me sad to think it was just some sort of sense of obligation that drove him to come check on me, and that frustrated me. It's not like I wanted him to come over to check on me at all, but if he was going to, I guess I wanted the reason to be different, or something. I don't know. I was too tired and cold to analyze my stupid girly feelings at this hour. And Cata Shane, yeah? Can I have my jacket back?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I slipped out of the jacket and netted it over. He shot me a crude smile I could barely see in the moonlight. Good night. Do me a favor and stay inside this time. I'll try. I quietly stole across the backyard and turned back to wave. Ewan returned the gesture, then disappeared back down the hill. I went inside quietly and shut the door behind me. I quickly cleaned off my feet, then crept upstairs to my room, wondering what to do now that the barrier wasn't working. I was too tired to think about that now. I set a foot down in my doorway and jerked it back with a loud hiss. That burned. What? So, the barrier was still there? I tried to cross the door again, but to no avail. There was definitely a freaking barrier keeping me out. I looked down the hall. Spencer's room? Don't tell me I'd gone out through there. There was no way. He was such a light sleeper. He'd definitely have woken up, but I couldn't think of another way. I cast a worried look over my shoulder, then tiptoed to his room. The door was slightly ajar, enough to let me peek in. He was gone? What? I was so distracted I almost didn't hear the footsteps coming up the stairs. Shoot! I scurried into Spencer's room, through the back, to the bathroom, into my room as quietly as I could. I stood just inside the door, breathing quietly, straining to hear the soft footsteps. I went straight to Spencer's room and inside. What? What was he doing up? Moments later, I heard the soft creak out of his bed. I stood there a second longer before returning to my own, more confused than ever. What on earth was happening? I was curled up in bed, my head so heavy it felt like someone had filled it full of bricks. My eyes ached from lack of sleep. All I really wanted to do was go back to sleep and spend the whole Saturday dozing. But I had some unanswered questions, and now that it was light out, I wanted to figure out just what happened last night. I sat up reluctantly, stretching the kinks out of my back. I dragged myself out of bed reluctantly, and the first thing I did was go check the window. I was pretty sure I hadn't gone out that way, since it was closed and I had no idea how I was going to close that behind me. And sure enough, the neat little line of herbs was right there along the track for the window, and I knew the one at the door was there, which meant I had definitely gone out through Spencer's room. If I couldn't get in my room last night, there was no way I was getting out. So then, did Spencer go out after me, or was he already gone when I went through? I didn't think he'd follow me since, well, he'd come up from the front, not the back like I had. So what was he doing out of bed then? I mean, he has looked tired lately, but what is he doing up and roaming around at night? Unless I wasn't the only one doing the sleepwalking thing. No, that made no sense. Why would Spencer be sleepwalking? Ugh, this was too much thinking before coffee. I wandered down to the kitchen, surprised it was empty and kind of cold, like someone left the window open or something, except I knew I shut the door after me. I don't know why I hesitated on the bottom step, I just felt strangely uneasy, as if there was some strange familiar presence lurking just out of sight. Hello? Nothing. I padded across the wood floor and peeked into the foyer. No one was in sight. I chewed my lip, thinking about my little night walk, that I brought something home with me, aside from Ewan. No, I was just being paranoid. My nerves were a bit raw from what happened last night. It had definitely been unexpected. I shrugged off the weird feeling and went to start some coffee. I turned around thinking about turning the heat up higher when I came face to face with Spencer. I bit back a scream. He was just standing behind me, pale and silent, with dark circles under his eyes. Yeah, I knew that feeling pretty well. What? Nothing. What are you doing here? Nothing. What are you doing? Making coffee. What does it look like? Where's Mom? No idea. Spencer just stood there silently, staring at nothing. His face was a strange mixture of exhaustion and anger. Spencer? He shrugged and turned away. I don't feel well. I'm going back to bed. Do you want anything? Tea? Spencer paused for a moment but didn't turn around. No. I watched him leave, unsure what was going on with him. Surely the whole fairy thing wasn't affecting him too. That didn't make sense. The whole theory behind him being blinded was that he was human. After all, why would fairies blind one of their own? So if the fairies had been getting to me, drawing me out of the house, messing with my sleep and making me sleepwalk, were they going after Spencer too? And if so, why? Cata Shane? For the second time that morning, I jumped as a family member sneaked up on me. What's wrong? I sighed. You scared me, that's what. Jeez. Sorry, sweetheart. Where's Mom? She went to Grandma's earlier to help out with some cleaning. She'll be back this afternoon. And where's your brother? Spencer emerged but has gone back up to his cave to wait for a princess to kidnap and devour. Dad raised an eyebrow. You really have to discuss his habits with him before he starts hoarding treasure. Still not getting along, huh? What was your first clue? You're comparing him to a dragon? You could try. I'm trying. I am. But it's like hitting my head against a wall. That explains your grades then. Hey, my grades are fine, thank you very much. Especially considering the nonsense I was putting up with recently. So, how busy are you this morning? I shrugged. Not very. I was going to head into town to do some shopping for your mother. Want to come? I raised an eyebrow. Mom told you that you had to take one of us, didn't she? She did. Because of the pudding accident, it wasn't that much pudding. Dad, it really was that much pudding. Well, that's why you're coming to supervise. I didn't really want to, but Dad's impulse shopping was pretty terrifying. Someone had to manage him. I really just want to sleep, though. Well, for the sake of avoiding another pudding apocalypse, I should probably suck it up and go. Fine, I guess I'll go. I'll just get my coat, because I was not leaving it behind. I'll see you in the car. He trotted off to the foyer while I got my things together. Why does Spencer get to sleep in, but I have to go babysit the impulse shopper? Oh well, it was better than being left home to deal with Spencer alone. If I wasn't up for babysitting Dad, I definitely wasn't up for dealing with Spencer. I bit back another sigh and headed out to the front. The horn blared just as I stepped out on the porch, and I shot Dad a glare as I joined him in the car. What was taking so long? I told you I was getting my coat. Getting it or making one? Cute. Let's go before I change my mind. So I was thinking, oh god. What if we get ice cream while I have an idea. Why don't you drop me by the bakery and I'll get a cake? And you stay away from snacks while shopping. What kind of cake? What kind do you want? What kind do they have? I can text you from the bakery to let you know? Deal. Dad chattered nonstop the whole way into town. I'm just glad it was a short drive. He kept peppering me with questions about school, about my classmates, about everything. And about Ewan, because apparently Mom mentioned him. I mean, does he realize other colors exist? Why does he only wear black? Because that's the color leather comes in. There are other colors of leather. I saw a pair of purple cowboy boots once. First, you. Second, can you imagine a biker in purple? I can, but I don't want to be imagining bikers at all. Especially not getting anywhere near my nearly adult offspring. You're not 18 yet. Legally an adult in less than 2 weeks. You're going to have to deal with it at some point. Never. Melodramatic denial isn't going to have the flow of time, Dad. If I'm in denial, it doesn't matter if time is halted or not. I rolled my eyes. If it makes you feel better. I can introduce you to him. I already met him. And if I recall, he was very polite. And it was after he rescued me from being left at school by my rude brother. Rescue seems like a strong word. I don't know. You seem pretty worried about my safety. We were riding on that motorcycle. Do you know how dangerous those are? Ewan drives safely. Yeah, I've heard you've ridden with him several times already. Thanks, Mom. And he hasn't killed me even once. Once is all it takes. Is the motorcycle really the issue here? Or are you just not like that he's, a boy? That's definitely part of the problem. You can't trust boys. Especially not boys that wear that much leather. Okay. I wonder if this dad lectures so much his daughter about boys being boys, and if he even puts an effort on Spencer and makes sure he just doesn't grow up to be a boy, if you get my meaning. What's the acceptable letter threshold then? None! Oh, well, I guess I have to stop talking to you. Those leather shoes of yours are a huge problem then. At least I don't have all those zippers. Everywhere. What reasonable person needs that many zippers? I just sighed. There really wasn't reasoning with him. It was pretty funny when he was getting hysterical. Besides, it was pointless to try to waste time convincing him. It was fine. You and I were just friends anyway. Or we were friends-ish. We weren't more than friends anyway. That I was certain of. Though I was starting to be less and less sure if I was satisfied with that or not. I was glad when he finally pulled into a parking space, if only because he gave me a respite from the interrogation of my relationship with Ewan, and teasing that it was only fun for so long. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go get the shopping done for the week. You're going to go get the cake. While you're there, see if they don't have pudding. Good grief, I was so obsessed. I was going to say, get something that Spencer will like too. Do I have to? Why should grouches get cake anyway? I just don't want to hear another round of you sulking at each other. Fine, I'll get something Spencer will like too. I strongly doubt they have any princesses in stock though. Very funny. I'll try. Can I go? Text me when you're done. I reached for my phone, digging my free hand deep into my pockets before I remembered. Shoot, I left my phone at home. Well, why don't I just swing by to get you when I'm done? They probably have somewhere you can wait. You rummage in his wallet and hand over some money for my cake expedition. Alright, you know where it is, right? Just down the street, I remember. Can't miss that weird sign. What kind of name is Fairy Forest anyway? If only you knew. Okay, I'll see you later. He nodded and headed off, leaving me to my own devices for a while. I just hoped I wouldn't regret letting him into the grocery store alone. Yeah, see, right here? Like, what a fucking plot hole. In the meantime, I was glad Mom apparently hadn't told Dad that Ewan's family owned the bakery. Or if she did, that he hadn't put it together. He probably would have insisted on going with me. I registered that I should subject Ewan to one parent. That was definitely enough. I smiled slightly as I headed that way. As tired as I was, it was still nice to be in town. I hadn't managed to get away from home and school enough since we'd moved, and the air was cold, but it was clear and crisp. My foggy pounding head started to clear up the further I walked. I still hugged my coffee for dear life, but I felt better than I had all morning. Well, enough to finally notice, I wasn't alone out in the street, and I wasn't referring to the other people running around. Well, not to human people. There were an awful lot of cryptics around. Some of them looked almost human. Many of them were just shadows of weird shapes, or just human enough to be supremely creepy. Is there a phrase for that? Regardless, I didn't want any of them to pay attention to me, so I took my head down and did my best to ignore them as I walked. Have there always been so many? I didn't think so. It must be that thing Allie was talking about, the overflow. I definitely was looking forward to that being over, for more reasons than one. I glanced up quickly, just to see how far I was from the bakery. I was nearly there when a familiar form, strangely tall and wearing an amusing apron, stepped out and started sweeping the dead leaves off the sidewalk and into the gutter. Even if I didn't already know who it was, it'd have been hard to miss. Tall, dark-haired, his heavy biker boots, and a very pink pinstripe apron. Well, that's a new addition. He paused sweeping and looked out across the city to the dark mountains crowding the skyline. I followed his gaze, watching the clouds and fog catching the treetops. When I was a kid, the way clouds snagged on the trees always seemed to lend the wooded mountains a mysterious, magical feel. Now, it just felt ominous. I looked back at Ewan, wondering what he was thinking as he watched the clouds. I thought about what he said last night about hearing the Fae call to him. Last night. My face felt a little warm as I remembered that he'd hugged me, and he saw me in my pajamas. I hadn't really had the time or presence of mind to be embarrassed about it last night, but I was definitely feeling a little sheepish when he finally looked my way and noticed me. Funnily enough, though, I kind of expected some level of embarrassment over the apron. It didn't seem at all bothered to be spotted out and about wearing it. Then again, I suppose he was just used to people seeing him in it if he worked at the bakery all the time. Hey there. Hi. I grinned up at him. I have to say, that really is your color. I've always thought so. I heard your parents own the bakery. Wasn't quite expecting to see you decked out in any other color than black, especially not that one. You can thank my father. These were his choice. It was funny because I'd always kind of imagined Ewan's father to be, well, an older version of him. Apparently not, if he was picking out pink pinstripe aprons. Ewan, what are you doing? I told you sweeping the leaves and come out here to find you flirting with a pretty girl. I didn't quite catch sight of whoever it was that stepped outside just then, but they had a really thick Scottish accent. Ewan's eyes went wide and he spun around, grabbing me by the shoulders and pushing me to the side, so he was between me and whoever that was. Sorry, school friend, she was just leaving. He tried to push me back down the sidewalk away from the bakery. What? I was actually... Go. Just please go. I wanted to buy a cake, though. Hey, who's this? Ewan tried to push me down the sidewalk and simultaneously keep me out of the sight of whoever that was speaking. I don't think so, pal. I tried to wriggle my way out of his grip to see who was speaking. It didn't release me and I pulled hard, and at the same time, he apparently decided to let go. I let out a short-lived scream as I pitched forward toward the street. Ewan grabbed the back of my jacket, yanking me back toward him. I hit his stupid chest as he wrapped his arms around me to steady me. His broom clattered to the ground at our feet. We stood there for a second, my heart pounding, till I remembered that it was his fault I nearly fell in the first place. I spun around and slammed my hand firmly into Ewan's stomach. Ugh! He doubled over, one hand instinctively going to his head. The sound of laughter and clapping from behind it made me freeze in place. I like this girl. She your girlfriend then? No! I eyed the tall redhead that stepped around him curiously. He's wearing a kilt. What? He was seriously the strangest looking person I'd ever seen. Hello there, I'm Logan Croft. Welcome to the Fairy Forest. Croft smiled at him as I took his outstretched hand. Whoa, they're really different. Hi, Shane. I didn't even know you and had a brother. I'm Miss Da. What? I'm Miss Fighter. No, I heard you. Just, wow. He didn't look any older than Ewan. He might have even looked younger than him. He's a fairy, obviously. Doesn't really age. Logan stared at Ewan mortified, looking over his shoulder in a panic as he clapped a hand over Ewan's mouth. Ewan, are you mad? Supposed to be a secret? Your mother's gonna kill us both? Ewan just pried his father's hand off his mouth with a long suffering sigh. Dad, take a closer look at her. Huh? He looked at me again, eyes narrowed, then he released Ewan and leaned in really close. Really, really close. I raised an eyebrow. His face suddenly broke into a smile. Oh, I see what's what now. She's the girl you mentioned from your Cata, isn't she? Yes. Come on inside then. He held the door open and motioned me inside. Okay, this is really weird. Ewan's dad wasn't what I was expecting at all. Inside the bakery was beautiful. There was shelf upon shelf of bread, cakes, and cupcakes. Baskets were bursting with a warm, savory smell of fresh bread in dozens of different sizes and shapes. There were boxes of cookies, tarts, and muffins bursting with fruit. It smelled incredible. This is nearly perfect ham and too. Oh, I just finished baking a little experiment of mine, and what I need is an outsider's opinion. Logan led me to the counter, where a tray of rather pretty cupcakes awaited us. Ewan eyed it with suspicion. You baked? Does Mom know? Met him before she go out this morning. I spent all the time decorating them. He turned to me, gesturing toward the tray. What do you think? They look beautiful. Don't they? I can't wait for Melanie to see just wait here. He trotted off to the kitchen. Ewan leaned back, watching him disappear around the corner. Then, without a word, he picked up the tray, casually walked out the front door with it, and dumped them in the trash can out on the sidewalk. Ewan came back in quietly and set the tray on the counter. What was... Your mother wants me to bring him to back soon so she can... He stopped, staring at the empty tray. What? Where are they? He looked all around the counter, on the floor, at me. I just shrugged and shook my head. Why does this always happen? He grabbed the empty tray and ran back to the kitchen, looking like he was about to cry. I glanced Ewan's way. Care to explain that? Ewan sighed as he pulled off his apron and went to hang it on a hook. He leaned against the corner. He's Fae. It's not safe for humans with his food. A concept that seems very difficult for him to grasp. I have no idea how hard Mom and I have to work to keep his stuff off the shelves. I had read something about fairy food being addictive to humans. I hadn't really considered the implications of that in a fairy-owned bakery. I've cooked for my family before, and they're okay. Your abilities as a fairy are just awakening. That means it could be dangerous to cook for my family going forward? Could be, actually. There are other factors. I'm usually fine. I mean, if I focus, I can keep the fairy magic out of the food. My dad, not so much. You? I don't know. I guess it's something I'll have to figure out, though. Well, that's a problem I hadn't considered. Logan came into the room, still looking a bit sad about the whole cupcake thing. It was honestly a little difficult not to have a small giggle. Poor guy. And I thought my family was weird. Anyway, my dad wanted me to pick up a cake. Maybe you could help me pick something out? Logan perked up a little. Well, nothing else will be good as mine. Not the saying you weren't Mather? Doesn't make the most amazing things. On the contrary. But I was sure I had something going this time. I leaned against the display as Logan stepped behind the counter to help pick out Dad's cake. Again, I don't think it's polite to ask about other people. Like, if you want to know something, ask the person directly, you know? So, I'm gonna ask this. So, you're a Dullahan, like Ewan? Though Ewan was the one who was like him, not the other way around. Ha, a Dullahan. I'm the Dullahan. Don't listen to him, he's hardly the only one. I'll be honest, I haven't read too much about them, though I did read about whips made of human spines and crazy things like that. Logan just laughed. Hey, those were days. Please tell me you're kidding. Well, I mean, it wasn't a real spine. It was totally real spine, wasn't it? I showed Ewan a worried look. Please don't get him talking about that. He can go on for hours and hours. Hey, where'd you get to be so cheeky? I listened to the two of them banter, staring down at the cake Logan had pulled out for me. A really pretty one with sugar flowers. It was strange talking about all this so naturally. On one hand, it was just weird. On the other, it was kind of a relief. I mean, I had to hide all this from my family, and while I could definitely talk to everyone at school about it, it felt nice to just be kind of able to bring it up without worry somewhere other than the club room. Anyway, I met Melanie one night while riding out with Shaw. The what? The Unsili host. Even, have you really told her nothing? I'm not her teacher, and if I was, I won't teach her much about the Unsilis beyond to stay away from them. I know some about the Unsili court, not much. I haven't heard of the host? You're lucky then. The Unsilis are a pretty nasty bunch, and the host is a group of them that roams around at night, basically being jerks when they don't have anything more important to do. They're not so bad when they stay in Fairy and just scuffle with the other factions there. When they bleed out in the real world, they cause a lot of issues for humans, and they used to do that a lot when they get bored. Your father used to be the captain of the group of jerks, you know. You were the captain of the entire Unsili host? That sounds like a rather important position, though I couldn't say I knew much about Fairy ranking or politics. I was. Years ago, gave it up. For you and Mom? Logan colored slightly as he smiled. Whoa, that was pretty romantic, in a weird fairy way. Don't think of it as something great. He kidnapped her first. Oi, look at how you're talking to me. I know you don't like what I used to do, but since when do you get to be so disrespectful? I laughed quietly as he grabbed Ewan's ear and twisted it slightly. You think you're better than me just cause you're some kind of actor source, so instead of annoyed? I perked up at the mention of Ewan's acting. I mean, I definitely had hints about that, but I really wanted to know more about it. And what happened to make him give it up? When they start writing plays about actors, you let me know. Ewan pushed his hands away, glaring. Without actors, there wouldn't be plays in the first place. Actor? Ewan looked my way, flushing slightly before he stared outside. Whoa, you didn't know? Well, it's not like I didn't know anything about it, just not much. Well, he gave it up, so I guess you wouldn't know much about it. A pity too, it was so good. I wasn't that good. Let's just drop it. You let one thing stop you. It wasn't just one thing. It's just one thing. Something I live with just fine. Thank you very much. That stop. Just because a few people saw you, you know how many people have seen me like that? Dad, it kicked up a little fuss, but it's not a big deal, and we just made them all forget. Enough! He slammed his hand on the counter, causing Logan to stop short. Ewan whirled around and stormed out without another word. The sound reverberated through the walls. Logan and I both just stared after him. We were both silent for a long moment. Well, sorry about that. He's still a bit sensitive, I guess. I sighed softly, wondering if someone should go after him. You're not going to ask about that? Oh, well, I mean, I was curious, but Ewan hadn't really talked about that at all, and though I thought I could kind of piece it together, Ewan doesn't seem to want to share the story, and I feel like I shouldn't ask about something he doesn't want to tell me. Logan gave me a praising look, smiling slightly. Well, I can see why he likes you. My cheeks went hot at that. I'm not so sure he does. Nonsense. I mean, he might not be serenading you yet, but it's only a matter of time. Serenading? Now that is something I can't imagine at all. Oh, but he has a wonderful voice, you know. Even better than his mom. Though you shouldn't tell her I told you. I miss watching him perform, if only because he doesn't sing anymore either. Maybe he will again, when he gets better control of his ability. He shot me a long look, but I just shrugged. Well, I mean, I guess that kind of worked out the gist of it. Something happened, something that made me want to stay off the stage, and I can only think of one thing that might be. You're pretty sharp, aren't you? I don't know about that. You are? Well, I'll bet you'll be at your window singing for you in no time. Part of me wants to see that, and part of me thinks my dad would definitely disapprove. Oh, your dad doesn't like my little Ewan? Well, this light's a little strong. Logan shot me a teasing grin. I beat my breath, I dare not speak, for fear I rouse your walkful daddy. I was startled when he broke into a loud song. He had a nice voice, but the accent got about 10 times worse. Calls the blast upon me cheek, oh rise, my bonny lassie. Well, she's up the door, she's let him in. He cussed aside his dripping platy. Blow your waist, ye raining wind sins, Caroshen. No, I'm here aside ye. I leaned on the counter laughing at his song. I couldn't imagine Ewan singing anything like it, much less at my window at night. Given how soundly my parents apparently slept, you might not have to fear rousing my wakeful dad or whatever though. I don't think we've quite gotten to the point of you serenading me, but I'm looking forward to it if it happens. It will happen sooner than you think. If you're smiling elaborate I would ever know. I don't know what the fuck was that. My face went on and I looked away, biting my lip. You two are really different from each other. He just laughed at my embarrassment. I stared down to countertop, chewing my lip a little unpleasant feeling gnawed at my stomach. Looks like something's bothering you though. Oh, it's not that. I was just thinking. It seems like it must be easier having a family that knows and understands all of this than that you have different problems to deal with and everything. I think I'm a little jealous. It's definitely helpful not to worry about having to memory wipe someone every time your head ends up in a laundry basket by accident. Oh, he was back. And seemed to be better. I mean, just judging from that laundry basket crack. That actually happens. Even grimaced. More than it should. I just wish I could talk to my family about it, or at least Spencer. The evil twin? Why? Logan perked at that. You have an evil twin? I don't know that he's really evil. He's just angry about a lot of things, I guess. You know, we used to be really close before everything that happened 5 years ago. It was just 5 years ago. That's a surprise. I'd have figured it for at least 10 or so. What? Oh, I just thought it would have been longer. What? What are you talking about? Did you mean, that's when the switch happened? The switch? Ah, so you don't know. I guess that makes more sense. I was a little confused for a bit there. No, wait, I'm confused. What are you talking about? Oh, nothing. What did you think of this gig? It's a good one for you? Dad? Well, it's probably better to know. No, enough. If you people know something about me, then I need to know. Brenna probably knows, and she hasn't said a damn word. Enough. I don't care about your stupid fairy secrets. This is my life. Logan visibly started at that. Did you just say Brenna? Brenna Kavanaugh? She's been looking after Cata Shane for a while now. You didn't know? I didn't. So she's gotten involved. That's a surprise. But I imagine she's trying to pick another fight with the core. By helping me? How is that going to... Please tell me what's going on. I have a right to know. He looked like he was considering that, though I didn't know what there was to consider. I didn't know why it was so hard for them to just tell me. You're a changeling. And then he said it, so simply as if it was obvious. Like you should have known. I could do nothing but stare. A changeling? Me? I mean, I'd consider that. I'd research them, but I knew the moment I set eyes on you. You have a clear aura of the Fae, but under that, faintly, as if inside under everything else, that bright mortal scent. Okay, first of all, the character that is saying, "Oh, I knew the moment I set eyes on you," is the same one that panicked when Ewan mentioned, I don't even remember what it was anymore. But yeah, this makes absolutely no sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. Goodness me. You're a changeling through and through. I'm certain of it. A changeling. How could that possibly be? Whew. Alright. I would say that the chapter ends pretty abruptly, which I'm not a fan of. Yeah, more, plot holes or contradictions. It just feels that the script, for the entire, novel, just wasn't proofread or something. I guess it was proofread because I haven't seen any typos, which is really good. But in terms of a story that makes absolute sense from start to finish, this is not it, unfortunately. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.